Hello and welcome to today's Words for Living session. Today we are going to be looking at Dorris the Loris. Now this particular booklet that we are going to be looking at here is going to be for the majority of students in phase 2. However, for those students who are able to go a little bit more in depth with us, we are going to have another book that we're going to be looking through and we'll have related. So both of these are going to have related resources available for you to go through with the students. So this one is Dorris the Loris. The other one is Plastic, or A Place for Plastic, which is about plastic pollution in the oceans. So you can decide which one you think is a suitable level for you to be going through. So Dorris the Loris, let's have a little read of this story. Does anyone know what a loris is, by the way? Maybe have a little bit of a think about that. I think we're going to find out quite soon. So we've opened it up, we've seen the front cover of the book. Like I say, this is your front cover here, and shows you a nice little picture there. Maybe there's a little clue on this one here as well, what a loris is. And we have now got our, well actually, you can tell me, what do you think might be the setting of our story? I'm just going to bring that up a little bit larger for you here. If you have a little look, we seem to have some quite lush. There are creepers, there are vines, there are very, very tall trees here as well. It certainly doesn't look like somewhere you would expect to have in this country, does it? So our title page, we can see a Twinkle original, Dorris the Loris. And I think this here is probably Dorris. So let's make a start. Okay, so Dorris the Loris was a storyteller. From true stories to adventure stories and silly stories to love stories, Dorris had a story for everyone. Every evening, Cam the cuckoo sang to announce that story time was about to begin. Creatures from all around came to Dorris's tree and waited for her words to spark their imaginations. Look at all of the creatures that we can actually see here, all gathered around to have a listen to Dorris's story. Late one afternoon, Putu the pangolin was on his way to story time. He spotted Geeta the gibbon up in the trees. "Why don't you join us for a story, Geeta?" Putu asked. "Dorris will sweep you away on an adventure that you've never dreamed of." "I've told you before, swinging is all the adventure I need," said Geeta. "Stories are boring." "I will change your mind one day," said Putu, as she trotted off. There you go. What do you think? Do you agree with that? Do you think all stories are boring? I think this one here is going to get a little bit interesting. I'm looking forward to this. Dorris told an exciting tale of a tiger who had bravely rescued its friend from a rushing river. "Great story," said Putu afterwards. "It's a shame that I couldn't persuade Geeta to come and listen." "She never stopped swinging long enough to hear the whole thing," said Dorris. "If only we could find a way to take a story to her." "It's funny you should say that," squawked Harter the hornbill. "I wish I could take your stories home to settle my babies at night. I can even remember the endings." They headed off on their way, but an idea was forming in Dorris's mind. She needed to find a way for her friends to take her stories with them wherever they went. How do you think she could ask them? How do you think she could get them so they could all take her stories with them? Interesting, isn't it? She's going, isn't she? Early the next morning, Dorris is headed off to put her plan into action. She found a big green leaf on the forest floor. "I wonder," thought Dorris. Dorris tried to make marks on the leaf using mud, but it was too oozy. She tried to sketch marks using a stick, but the leaf kept tearing. What do you think it is that Dorris is trying to do? Then Dorris noticed some purple berries lying on the ground. A feather floated down from a nest above, and she knew what to do. Doris spent the rest of the day working hard to create her first 3 books. To start with, she wrote an adventure story for Gita. It was about a gibbon setting a world record for swinging from the tallest tree. Next, she wrote a rhyming story about rhinos to give to the baby hornbills. Finally, she wrote a non-fiction book about Putu's favourite tree, the rainbow eucalyptus. She delivered the books and hoped that their readers would be as excited as she was. Look, she's creeping around, isn't she? Sort of delivering all of the storybooks to people. The next day, Doris had a surprise visitor. Putu was right, said Gita. Your stories aren't boring. It's a great being able to read them on the go. Do you have any more? Just then, Harta flew past. Thank you for the story, Doris, she shrieked. My babies had never slept so well. Do you have any more? A smile began to creep across Doris's face. No one saw Doris for days. No story time for the next few days. Back soon. Except for the glowworms whose light helped her to work through the night. Wow, isn't she doing some amazing stuff for her friends? Then one evening, Cam's call floated across the rainforest again. Caw-caw! Story time, called Putu, running towards Doris's tree with a host of other creatures. He was pleased to see that Gita was swinging along with them. But Doris was nowhere to be seen. Instead, there was a sign on the door, Library this way. The creatures found Doris waiting for them all to arrive, and there in a tree beside her were hundreds and hundreds of... So what do you think there were hundreds and hundreds of? There's a little clue here because it says library. What might you find hundreds and hundreds of in a library? Books. Every story that Doris had ever told was captured on beautiful green leaves along with some brand new ones. You can come and borrow them whenever you like, said Doris. Then when you finish, just bring them back for somebody else to read. That's a really good idea, isn't it? The creatures were thrilled, and the new rainforest library was soon buzzing with readers. There was a book for everyone. Doris became the first ever rainforest author and librarian. She had found her dream job, bringing happiness to all of her friends every day through the magic of reading. And you can see there are all of the books stacked up here. It's all like lots of different shelves. And there's a little bit here. You've got the little hornbills. And there's a little stone here that says Story Time with Doris. Happy, happy hornbill is the story that she's reading to them. I can see another creature just up here having a read. I can see Putu there, and you can see lots and lots of different creatures reading all over the place. And even the bats are reading while they're hanging upside down. It's really cool, isn't it? Okay, the end. Okay, so we have got some different activities for you to be able to do. For some of you, you've got story sequencing that I'm going to ask you to do. So you can rewind this video, have a look at it again, cut out the pieces and see if you can put them into the correct order. Okay, so that's one bit there for you. The other items or the other things that you can actually do, we've got a little bit of reading comprehension and for you to have a little bit of a challenge, there's a couple of writing activities as well associated with this. So a writing activity which is going across both sets of folders, and there is actually a reading comprehension activity as well. So to see if you can read through something yourself to do with the jungle and then answer the questions using the information that is in the piece of text that you have just written. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. I certainly did. As you can see, my background has changed slightly because it was just too cold out where I was before. So I've moved into the living room now. Anyway, take care. Hope that you have a really good day. And remember, leave us some comments and look out for an announcement about some little Zoom sessions that we will be doing soon for you, so that you can ask us any questions about, you can show us pieces of work that you've completed, and what we can do is we can kind of give you a little bit of feedback, we can give you some advice, but feedback is the key thing there that we'll be able to do for you. Brilliant. Take care, everyone, and I will see you, hopefully, well, you definitely see me because you see me in the video, but I'll see you hopefully soon. Thank you.